yes. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to today's presentation. It is now 3 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Emily Kuhn, and I am on the marketing team here at RealityWorks. I am here with Samantha Forehand, who is our marketing communications manager, and who will be presenting today's information. Now, Samantha's been with RealityWorks for 13 years, and in that time, she has presented on a variety of topics, including program best practices, product trainings, and student engagement. Now, before we get started, I want to let everyone know that we are recording today's presentation, and a link to that recording, as well as a certificate of completion, will be emailed to all attendees following today's presentation. I do also want to let everyone know that we want to hear from you. We will be making time for questions at the end of the presentation today, so feel free to use your questions and answers button on your screen anytime. With that, I will go ahead and turn the presentation over to Samantha.
All right, well, thank you, Emily, and thank you, everybody, for joining us for the 5 ways to address soft skill development in your CTE classroom. This is a really hot topic right now and really a fun topic for us to talk about as well. We have been diving into this topic for about the last 3 years as we wanted to come out with a program on employability skills that you could incorporate in your classroom. And really our goal for today's presentation is to share a little bit of that information we found out in our research and to give you some ideas that you could incorporate right now today and take away for your classroom. So what we're going to discuss today, first I do want to give everybody an overview of who RealityWorks is. If you're not familiar with us, I think it's a great time to just talk about what we do and how we build programs and why we're so interested in the topic of soft skills. I'm also going to go over just an overview of what soft skills are. It's kind of that squishy term, soft skills, and we want to teach you what we have learned in our research and also give you some great statistics that you can share with directors if you're looking to start programs. You can share with parents to get buy-in, students to get an understanding of why and why you're teaching this and so on. Then we're really going to get into the guts of the presentation, the 5 ways that you can address soft skills. We have some kind of high-level concepts, and then we have some great classroom activities you could start right away to start getting those concepts into the classroom. We're going to do a brief overview of just what the RealCareer Employability Skills Program is and let you know about the program that we offer. And then we'll just end our presentation with the question and answer session. But as Emily said, feel free to type those into the Q&A section or the chat section, and we'll check those out throughout the presentation and address them at the end. So who is RealityWorks? We have been selling into education for over 20 years. And really what we want to do is partner with educators, whether it's at the organization level or the educator level, be in the classrooms, and just learn what are the new concepts you're teaching, what are the concepts that today's students are having a hard time grasping, how can we make your job a little easier, and what kind of products are needed out there and programs needed out there to make a really fun, engaging, and interactive classroom. So what we want to do is create comprehensive experiences. We don't just want to create a product. We want to create an experience for your student, an experience that is easy for you to teach and one that's easy for the student to understand. So we take standard-based curriculum. We work with educators at the post-secondary level, at the secondary level, to write this curriculum. Then we find a great learning aid or tool to wrap around it, and then finish with different activities and assessment pieces, really to try to create that great program that's going to fit a need that you have, make it comprehensive, and most of all, make it fun for the students. Most of our products and programs are going to be supplemental to what you're already teaching, things that you can add in to give that extra lesson, to give that extra interactivity into your classroom. So our products were developed with hands-on learning in mind, everything from our infant simulators that we have in our FACS or health science areas to our welding simulators for our welding and trades area. All of these were really created to make a lasting experience for your student, especially for today's student who really wants that information now. They want to get involved, get their hands in there, and interact with some stuff. So throughout this whole presentation, and some of the ideas that we're going to present, I'm going to hit on some of these key career pathways and how we have learned from some educators out in the field, how they're in these career pathways teaching some of these soft skills. So a little bit of a soft skills overview. So RealityWorks creates programs that are needed in the classroom, that are concepts that are new or difficult to teach. And we kept hearing from teachers that this generation is lacking soft skills. They're lacking that general ability to communicate with others and work with others. We started to talk to businesses, and we started to hear the same thing over and over again too, is how can we bring back that face-to-face communication, that understanding of responsibility, and so on back to the students. So we really took a deep dive in what exactly is soft skills and what kind of research is out there to prove that this is really a need and a difficult concept that we want to be able to teach. So just going to start really basic. What is a soft skill? We came up with a definition to kind of help communicate effectively what a soft skill is. So we say a soft skill is a personal attribute that enables somebody to interact effectively and harmoniously work with people. Also known as employability skills, emotional intelligence, job readiness skills, can be considered that bedside manner of the workplace. And we believe that a hard skill is still incredibly important. A hard skill is going to get that student the interview or the internship, but the soft skill is what's going to get that student to keep that job, grow in that workplace, get new opportunities, and just become better at what they're actually doing. And most importantly, when it comes to what a soft skill is a soft skill is important in every area of education. Every career pathway that you are teaching, you can be incorporating soft skills to really help your students be better at these really important skills that are out there. So within our research, we came up with a list of the 20 key soft skills to make somebody successful in the workplace. And this is the list that we have. This is the list we used when we created our program, what we heard from educators, business partners, and so on. In the big three on here that I've really seen pop out, especially in the research for this presentation, is communication is number 1, listening skills is number 2, and teamwork is number 3. Those are a big 3 that are popping out that students are really lacking right now. And so when we get into our examples, I'm going to make sure I point out how you can add that communication and teamwork and listening into some of your fun activities that you could do in your classroom to help the students gain those soft skills. So why do soft skills matter? So I want to show a few statistics that we use to give us the reasons why we needed to create a program. And what you can do with some of these stats is share them with your director or your principal, share them with parents about why you're teaching these topics, and really share them with students so they know that having good soft skills, good bedside manner is important for their future. The first one is from a 2013 study by Millennial Branding, which showed that 61% of managers believe that soft skills are the most important skill you could have. Another study says 77% of employers think that personality skills are just as important as the hard skill, and 16% of them find this to be the most important skill. And from a research conducted by Harvard University and Stanford Research Center, it showed that 85% of job success comes from having well-developed soft and people skills, and 15% of job success comes from technical skills. These are big stats to be able to show a student to understand, okay, I have the technical skill, but I need to work on these two. To show other educators, hey, let's all start incorporating soft skills into our programs. It's really important. The biggest stat of all that has really stood out to us is this one. It's that 44% of employers choose soft skills as the biggest gap in the workforce. I mean, that right there says, hey, let's cut that down. Let's teach these skills. We can teach students soft skills. So let's teach it and let's cut that down quite a bit. And so really, how are we going to teach all of these soft skills? How do we cut that down? So what we want to do, we know that you know what soft skills are. We know you want to teach them, but how can you really incorporate these soft skills right now and be effective with your students? So what we want to do is help students understand that these are really vital skills and give you some best practices that we have learned from educators and researchers. And again, just remember, any of the things we talk about in these 5 ways could be used in any area of education. This is really how you're going to incorporate those. So the number one tactic we see is you want to make this fun, interactive, and engaging for your students. Integrating some fun experiential learning for the students is going to make them understand the concepts better. Especially when you're talking about today's students who have that information readily available. Well, let's let them learn it right away in your classroom and be really, really fun at the same time and engage them in the development of soft skills. So how do you make it fun? Where do you find these fun activities? We have this great blog here. If you don't take away anything else from this webinar, I highly suggest you read this blog. It is from We Are Teachers. RealityWorks partnered with We Are Teachers last year to create this blog about 9 awesome classroom activities that teach job readiness skills. The great thing about this blog is there's little resources that are needed. You don't have to spend a ton of money to be able to do these. None of them take a ton of time. They could be a short 10, 15-minute activity or a classroom-long activity. And they really help say what the soft skill is that you're teaching. In each activity, it calls out if it's addressing critical thinking, if it's addressing problem solving, communication, and so on. It's written right there for you in that. So highly suggest you read this blog. And from this blog, the one activity I wanted to point out and kind of walk you through is the team survival scenario activity. And this one helps with teamwork, communication, problem solving, presentation skills. Really simple and easy to do with students. All you would do is give them the team survival scenario, which is that the students are deserted on an island for an entire year. They have to come up with 12 items that they want to have to be able to survive this 12 months on this island. So individually, the students would critically think through what the big important things would be. Then you want to break them into teams, and the students have to talk with one another, compare ideas, and decide which of the larger group of ideas are the most important, which 12 ideas are the most important as a group. From there, they would then rank them from 1 to 12, most important to least important, and then they would present it to the other groups in class. It seems like a really simple activity. It might only take 15 to 20 minutes, but they're learning so many different skills in this one activity. And when the activity is done, the biggest thing you want to do afterwards is have the students reflect on what they did. Not reflect on what the 12 pieces were that they were going to have on their island, but reflect on what it was like working in the group setting. What was something they noticed that was really great about working as a team, and what was really difficult. Give them time to think through how working in a team could be better the next time, or what kind of traits they want to take with them. So again, this is the same link to that We Are Teachers blog with the 9 awesome classroom activities. Suggest you go out and check that out. Tactic number 2, work on communication. Communication, time and time again, pops up in any research or blog that we have read about soft skills. This is the big number 1 you want to work on. Being an effective communicator not only builds confidence, it promotes self-esteem, and it helps the student be engaging in the way they talk to others as well. So I wanted to give you a couple quick fun ideas with working with communication that you could incorporate right away. The first one is create some one-on-one activities. Something missing is having students being able to talk face-to-face with other people. A simple idea we got from a director of CTE in Oklahoma was when she was an educator, she would create conversation cards before the school year started. The conversation cards would have simple topics on them. It might have something like, after I graduate high school, I want to do this. And over the summer, I read a great book about this. And she, at the beginning of each class, would pair students up together, give them one conversation card, and give them 5 minutes to just converse about that topic. Really simple, a fun way to get them to interact with one another, but also get them to just learn that communicating face-to-face is really important. And really doesn't take a lot of time for them to be able to work through that. Another great activity to work on communication is bringing role play into the classroom. Acting and performing things out is really going to give them the most real life experience you could in the classroom. A few ideas we got from a health science teacher is to create patient settings. So one student would be the patient, the other student would be that CNA or that nurse, that caretaker. And the nurse would have to explain to the patient a procedure they were about to do on the patient. If it would be they were going to help them sit up in their bed and walk to the bathroom. But how is that nurse going to communicate to that patient? A great way to just put them in a realistic setting in the classroom. Another great idea we got from a family and consumer science teacher teaching child development and careers in childcare is she has students be the daycare workers and students be the parents. And she'll give them a scenario of the parent is coming at night to pick up their child. And that daycare worker has to give that parent an overview of what happened with their student that day, or their child that day. The child had a really good day and explained 3 things that the child did good. Child had a really bad day, 3 things the child did bad. Really all this is doing is making them talk to one another and converse and build on that confidence, promoting self-esteem, engaging. It's going to help them a ton when it comes to interviews in the future and just how to hold a conversation with somebody. Tactic number 3 that we have is use the community around you. The community wants you to be producing the next workforce. So use them in your classroom as well. They'll be very excited. We go out into classrooms all the time to help out our local schools. And collaborating with businesses is going to be great for you because it's also showing those businesses what you're working on. So they're excited and can give you different ideas. For the students, it's great because they're going to get some different perspectives from different people for the classroom as well. So the common things we hear with using the community is going to be job shadowing, internships, work study, all really great things. I'm sure you're using it if it's available for you. If it's not available for you, we have a couple other great ways that you could be using the community today. The first one we had actually happened to somebody on our marketing team is that a local business professor at the local college contacted her and just asked her a simple question about business communications. She asked her, would you define business communications and why it's important in your workplace? My colleague wrote up just a simple paragraph on what it means to her and why it's important. And then that educator just read it out loud to the students. It was a great way to give a different perspective, to get the community involved, and to show the students how important those soft skills could be in their workplace. Better yet, if you don't want to just email somebody, invite somebody into your classroom and just say, for 10 minutes, talk about why you do your job and what those important skills you have outside of hard skills. What are some of those important soft skills that they would face every single day? Another great idea instead of is to look at the different classes that you're teaching as well. Getting somebody at a higher level, like a certified welding instructor, asking them, what kind of different skills do they need? The students might hear some really interesting point of views about time management and professionalism and so on that maybe they wouldn't have thought of before. So coming up with some different perspectives is really great when getting communities involved. Another thing is interviews. This could be for maybe a senior level class when students are getting good at kind of their hard skill, is to put them in a position where they have to interview for a job. I go over to our local technical college every semester and do interviews with their graphic design students. What the professor does is she pulls random job descriptions from online. She'll give one to the employer and one to the student. The student then creates a resume, and I sit down with them for 15 minutes and go through just a general job interview with them, talk about their resume, have a conversation. After the 15 minutes is up, we sit and just have a reflection period with one another, talk about what they did good, what they could work on, everything from eye contact to if they had any errors in their resume, to the really great things they did too, the kinds of questions they asked, and so on. It also gives the student a chance to ask me as a future employer, what am I looking for? What questions should I have asked you, and so on. Great way to use your community and to get them in your classroom and get the students excited about possible other careers. Tactic number 4 is incorporating the what and the why of soft skills. I learned in a leadership class, it really hit home for me, that your employers or those people that you're teaching are likely to be more engaged if they understand what you're talking about and why you actually want them to do something. We've been teaching soft skills for a few years now, and time again, we still just look up what's the meaning of soft skills, what's popping up now, is there anything new on there? But we always get a list of different soft skills, different meanings, what's important, and so on, and we want to keep that in front of everybody so that they feel educated in understanding and they have a little bit more buy-in on what this is. A really simple tactic that you can do to keep the what and the why in front of your students is simply make it visual. RealityWorks offers a lot of interactive posters and infographics out on our website. Visit realityworks.com/interactive posters. The example I have here is what are soft skills? So it's a poster you can download and print, hang it in your classroom, make it visual, or make it into handouts and hand it out to the students. It defines what a soft skill is, it talks about the soft skill gap, and then it calls out some of those most important soft skills. So great tools to just start getting the concepts in your classroom. Another great way to incorporate the what and to why is to make an activity out of these 20 soft skills. Again, if you go to that interactive posters page, we have the 20 key soft skills that all students need to learn. So those key skills that we keep talking about, we have a poster with all of those listed on it. What one teacher told us they do is they take this poster, they hand it out to all the students, put them in groups, and assign each one of the groups one of the key soft skills. So one group gets communication, one gets problem solving, time management, and so on. Then what the students need to do is they need to define in their own words what that soft skill is, and then they have to come up with a positive or a really great use of that soft skill in the workplace and a negative, so a bad situation in a environment where that soft skill takes place. And then they have to present it to the rest of the class. So it's fun for the students, and it's a great way to do those presentation skills, to understand what these are, and getting them to do that teamwork as well. So this is another great way to help the students just understand what these are, put them in their own words, and get it interactive within the classroom. Okay, so the last tactic we want to talk about is just keep teaching soft skills simple. We know as educators, you do not have a ton of time. So just keep it simple what you're doing and try to incorporate it as you can. And realize, it is really important. Maybe I do need to just spend 5 or 10 minutes of class talking about some of these soft skills. But I wanted to give you a couple really little ideas, quick ideas to incorporate it to keep soft skills simple. The first one is instilling classroom professionalism. So at the beginning of class, talk to your students about what professionalism is, set some clear expectations from them, arrive on time, come prepared, have any assignments you turn in with the proper spelling, punctuation, and dress for success. This is what we expect in a workplace, so this is what you could expect in your class. If you're having a presentation day or students are presenting in small groups, have them dress up. If I were doing a large presentation at a conference, I would dress up. Have them do it in your classroom too. It's kind of fun, and it gets them in the idea of a workplace is a professional place, and I do want to dress up. Another fun idea from an educator is to practice shaking hands. practice shaking hands with one another, practice shaking hands with the teacher as they walk in each day, have a nice strong handshake, and make eye contact and have a proper address, proper hello. Just that little thing. You're just teaching them that tiny little soft skill. It does not take more than 5 minutes of your class to help them understand what professionalism is and what are those little things you can do to help train them. Another way to keep it simple is to just teach soft skills in every class. And what I think is really interesting about this one is you probably are teaching a lot of these soft skills already in your class. It's just a matter of realizing what are the soft skills I'm teaching and how do I hit it home for my students. If you're doing collaborative work, having students work with one another, know that you're working on teamwork. You're working on communication skills. Let the students know those are things they're working on. Have them reflect after they work with one another and think about how they could have done better. If you're asking students questions, try to always have open-ended questions. It's going to help them with that problem-solving skills using those open-ended questions. If you're doing any oral speaking presentations, these are all working on self-confidence and presentation skills. Try to have more of those presentation opportunities within your classroom. And finally, nothing better than making time for reflection within the classroom. If it's going to be through journaling, if it's going to be 5 minutes to just think about those skills that they learned that day, how they interacted with others, how their presentation went, how were they professional in the class that day, just to help with that critical thinking skills as well. So I hope that some of those tactics and activities, while there was a lot out there, I hope there was a couple tidbits that you could pick up to incorporate today into your classroom. And we can share some of these links afterwards as well if you're looking for some more information on these activities. So I just want to take a few minutes to talk about the RealCareer Employability Skills Program. Like I said earlier, this is a program we've been working on for a few years. We launched it about a year ago. What it is it's a out-of-the-box, ready-to-use program. It's about 20 to 30 hours program, or it could be supplemental to your program. So it covers each of those 20 soft skills, but you could pull out different lessons and just use those lessons if you wanted to. It comes with curriculum, student workbooks, a lot of interactive activities, and teaching materials and presentation slides. A printed package of this includes 20 student workbooks, and we think the workbooks are so important because the students have to physically fill stuff out, but then they get to keep that workbook and they can look back on it, look at some of those key soft skills that they learned. It includes the full curriculum. We have a great curriculum writer on staff who wrote this one. She makes it very, very simple down to what materials you need, how long this lesson will take, in order of when you need to incorporate things. So if you're looking to throw in a few soft skills ideas, I highly suggest this. And the other great thing it comes with is scenario cards. The scenario cards are great for group projects or working one-on-one. It gives a work scenario based on different soft skills. So one might be on a conflict that happens at a grocery store between a manager and an employee and a customer. Gives the situation, the students each play a role, and then go through a list of questions about how each person would react and how they can solve the situation. So great program, really fun, really interactive, easy to use. You can find that at realityworks.com, and we can send a link out with that afterwards as well. Just additional resources, we have a great blog. Follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, looking for other soft skills ideas, other general CTE things. We love to hear from educators with ideas on new programs, with great things that are working in your classroom, because our goal is to partner with you to make really great, effective programs. If anybody has any questions, please type them into the Q&A section now. Great, so we had a question, how do you access the statistics that were presented in the webinar? So we can actually send the presentation out along with the certificate of coming to this webinar. We'll send that presentation out as well so that you have the statistics. Okay, so great question about how can we add this to online classes. This is where it seems to be a lot of soft skills needed. So I'm thinking you mean, Joanne, that instead of the physical workbooks and so on, how would you incorporate some of these with your online classes? Okay, great. That is a good question. I think the communication is just as important in written as it is in oral communications as well. Trying to do group work where they have to co-write a paper together, where they have to do discussion questions together, anything to make them interact with one another. Another thing would be if you're incorporating social media at all into your programs. We have educators do student diaries where they actually do videos about a concept that they're learning and post it for other classmates to see. So they still have to do that live presentation skills as well. A question, do we have any sample lessons for your curriculum free to use? If you go to our website, realityworks.com, we do have a couple free lessons out there. If you scroll to the bottom of our homepage, it says free career exploration lessons. If you open that up, we have different ones for family consumer science, for welding, and then we also have employability skills out there. Somebody had referenced, aren't these called employability skills? Yep, they soft skills, employability skills, all of those terms that we have heard. So that program is out there. Can I share this information? Yes, please do. Please share this information, share the webinar with anybody, and make sure you visit RealityWorks because a lot of great information is out there as well. We'll post this webinar out there. We'll also email it out. Feel free to share any of our links from the website of those free lessons. That blog we talk about from We Are Teachers is really great. Okay, the last question that we got is, do you have any specifics for nursing clinicals? The big one that comes to mind for me, Sally, is we have a geriatric simulator. It's a suit that students put on to actually feel the aging body, to understand and empathize. A teacher took tools like this a step farther, and she uses a bed in her classroom. She uses a lift and so on, and she makes the students interact with one another as if they're patients. So feel what the client is feeling like, but then also what is the nurse going through? So having them in that clinical setting with the patient, and then once they're done, doing a lot of reflection. What were you feeling when that patient couldn't open their pill bottle? What were you feeling when you had to pick them out of their bed, and so on? So trying to do some of that key ideas, to get them to talk with one another as well. Also, if you look at that general infographic that we have just on what is a soft skill, there's some great definitions on what those soft skills are that can be applicable to any area of CTE, and great to put in front of your students and help them understand that. All right, we have a lot of great questions on specifics. So another one on automotive and culinary. So I think what we're probably going to do is, we've gotten a couple people asking on engineering, on welding, and so on. Love that we're getting all these questions. So what we're going to do is probably write up a great blog on this to give maybe 3 great ideas for the different career pathways, and send that out along with this recording as well, so that I can try to address a bunch of them with the different ideas. It's something Emily and I here are smiling at each other, homework for us tonight, and we will definitely get that out to you guys. I love that you're asking those questions.
And Eric, yes, we will send out that link to the recording. You don't need to sign in. The fact that you are attending right now means that we've got your information that you used to sign in, and we will send the links to the recording and the slides and any of all the other resources that we've addressed to those, and to that contact information that you submitted. And Jeff, yes, we absolutely can include links to those interactive posters and infographics that Samantha referenced earlier. We will make sure those are included in the email as well.
Veronica asked a great question. Do we think it is generational? And I'm guessing from your question, you're asking, do we think the lack of soft skills is generational? In the research we have done, it's becoming apparent that it could be generational, and mainly because of technology. Students don't have to pick up the phone and call each other anymore. They can text each other. They don't have to get together and hang out. They can send each other pictures of what they're doing on Snapchat really quickly. And while the ability to be so good at technology is going to be huge for our future, it also is helping students lack some of those just general, how do you work with one another and talk to each other? How do you hold a conversation? So we definitely think it could be a generational thing. It also just needs to be, taught. It just is a great topic to be having in the classroom, and just there's so much information we're throwing at students right now. That's why we want to host these webinars, is just to remind educators, make sure you're teaching these soft skills, but don't forget you're probably already teaching them. It's just pointing it out to a student and emphasizing how important it is as well. Okay, it doesn't look like we have any other questions. So we've got lots of information we're going to send out to you guys. After this webinar, we'll send a recording, a certificate of completion. We're going to send you a blog filled with really fun ideas to incorporate into specific CTE classes. And then a link to all of those interactive posters.
Absolutely.
So, and encourage you, go to realityworks.com and see the plethora of information we have out there and fun activities, and learn more about our employability skills program as well.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you.